What if I told you there's a super easy way to log all of your brews in as much detail as you'd like? And that's not all. It's fully customizable, and you can even find and refer to a brew that you did years ago in a matter of seconds. I mean, it's nuts. So buckle up, because I'm about to teach you how to use a tool that will blow your mind. We built this baller brew logging system using this very tool, and we're benevolent like that, so we're giving it away completely for free. Stick around till the end and I'll tell you how you can get your hands on that. So let's start with the tool we'll be using to build this logger. It's called Notion, and it's one of the most powerful productivity and collaboration tools. While Notion's feature set is vast, we just need a key few ones to get the job done here. So what do we need to log a brew? Basically a table with a few columns, right? So let's start with that. Start by pressing the plus button to the right of private to create a new table and give it a name. Then press empty, hit the / and type data and select full page. Call it my brews, and then let's start adding some columns. First up, we have brew code, which is nothing but a unique identifier for each brew. The next column would be date, and the type would be date. And then we create a column called coffee, which will hold the name of the coffee, and this can be of type text. Then we add a column called brewer, and this can be of type select, and you'll see why in a second. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to speed this up so that we don't waste too much time. And I'm also going to fill this table with a bunch of data so that we can then look at it and analyze it. And boom, we have a bunch of brews that have been logged. And if you look at the select type field, it gives you a nifty drop-down style menu. And this is great for fields that have limited number of options like grinders or brewers. So that's your base table created. Now, you must be wondering, what the hell, I can do this in Google Sheets, but hang on, we're not done. Not even close. If you're used to tables like this, you quickly realize its shortcomings. For starters, you may want to include more information about the coffee, like region, varietal, etc. You must be thinking, that's simple, just add more columns, right? Well, you could, but we're fairly certain you'll be brewing the same coffee more than once. So imagine the number of fields you'd have to copy-paste unnecessarily, creating so much redundancy. Here's where we can harness the power of relational databases. Check this out. Much like the first database table, I've gone ahead and created another one called Coffee List, and this has a list of all the coffees with all the additional information that we want about each coffee. And now what we're going to do is look at how we can link this to the other database. Head back to My Brews, and we're going to rename this column to Coffee Old because we're not going to need it in a minute. Once you're done with that, go ahead and create a new column, and let's call that Coffee. And we're going to set the type to relation. And then we select the database as Coffee List, which is the one that we just created. And then close this, and let's move it into place. Then if you click on any of the fields, boom, you're going to see a list of all of those coffees in that database. And all you need to do is click on a coffee to add it to that brew. Well, it doesn't end there. Let's rename the process method to old too, because we're not going to need that either. We can pull this information from the coffee database. And so once that's done, then head over and create a new column, and let's call that process. And here set the type to roll up. And then you can pick the relation as coffee. And lastly, select property and pick process. Done. You're now pulling that information too from the new coffee database. And this is a way more efficient way of doing things. Then you can select the old processing method column and delete it. And similarly, select the old coffee column and delete it. We've now successfully connected the two databases. And then if you click on a coffee, you can open it up and look at all of the information within that coffee. Wild, right? I hope this demonstrates how powerful this is. Think about it. You can have separate databases for grinders, brewers, descriptors, or anything for that matter, and that's exactly what we've done. So what do you say we take a look at the ARAMSE brew logger? So using these concepts, along with a few others, our design skills, photography skills, and a fair amount of time, we've created the ARAMSE brew logger, a super organized and well laid out system with cool icons, beautiful images, and graphics to help document your coffee life in as much detail as you like. Let's take a look at it and break down all the features to show you how powerful this system is. Stick around because we'll also be telling you how you can get a hold of this for free. Let's start with the databases. As you can see, we have 5 over and above the main Brew logger. So let's take a quick peek into each and see what's in there. First up, we have coffees, and this is a list of all of the coffees with all the details about each coffee that you want. Then we have descriptors, and this is a list that we've built over 2 years, adding to it every time we find a tasting note that isn't listed here. And it's a great way to add tasting notes to the coffee database. Next, we have grinders, and this is great for people who own more than one, like we do. Then we have brewers, and this is neatly categorized into immersion, pour over, and espresso, and you can add as many as you want if you have a growing collection. Then lastly, we have recipes, and we're looking at integrating our recipe builder more deeply into this. But for now, you can just hand sketch or make a digital version of a recipe and upload it in here. Okay, enough with the back end. Let's take a look at logging brews and see how all of these pieces come together to create this entire system. But before we dive in, we will say this though. There's something quite special about logging with a pen on paper that no digital tool can replace. In fact, we still brew analog before transferring it here. So here you can see the brew logger opens to this beautiful page with each brew displayed as a tile with a cover image and some key information. At a glance, you can see that it has the brew date, the brew rating, coffee, process method, brewer, and the grinder. Now, this is fully customizable, so you can actually open up the properties and turn on or off any of these fields, and you can even move them around to reorder them. Clicking on a brew opens it up and reveals all of the information that has been logged for that brew. But why don't we go ahead and log a brew so that you can see how simple it is. Click on the new drop-down and pick brew, then fill in all of the information that you want, and you can even change the cover image, and that's about it. You've logged a new brew. Now, we could end here, but there's just one more thing I'd like to talk to you about before I let you go, and that's filters. If you thought this logger was already powerful, then this will blow your mind. The thing is, once you've logged several brews, you'll get to a point where you want some form of organization. Yes, you could just use the search, but that's temporary, and this is where filters come into the picture. As the name suggests, they filter data and only show you the information you want to see based on one or more conditions. For example, you can do something super simple like filter based on rating, and if you set it to over 6, now you're only seeing brews that are rated over 6. You can then take this a step further by stacking filters. So if you add another filter for coffees, then you can only see very specific coffees that are rated over 6. So you can see how this can quickly start getting very, very powerful. Now take this and combine it with the ability to hide columns and save them as database views. And you can see here that we have something called main details. And this is a filtered view that shows you only the main details of the brew. And we also have one called sensory. And as the name suggests, it has all of the sensory information about the brew, like the aroma, acidity, sweetness, aftertaste, body, and all of that good stuff. I mean, this should already give you a sense for how incredibly powerful this is. Well, I could honestly keep going, but it's time to wrap this one up. We hope you're as excited about this as we are, and this video gave you a clear idea of the potential that a system like this has. And as promised, you get this entire logger for free by following the link in the description below. You just need to click on the duplicate button on the top right hand of the screen. Note that you will need to create a free Notion account to use this. All we ask in return is a thumbs up and a sub to the channel. If you do play around with this logger, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Is it easy to use? Do you have any questions? And have you made any tweaks of your own? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and log brews ARAMSE.